So, real quick, yesterday I said the Clippers ran a zone against the Jazz. They didn't. My bad. Anyway, Kevin Durant, my goodness, 49 points. I think Stephen A predicted 50, and he was 1 point off. He missed that free throw at the end there. Didn't really matter too much, but my goodness, this was a disaster by the Bucks. There's no doubt. Their offense, especially in the fourth quarter, what the hell? I mean, we had like three different Drew Holiday ISOs or something. One was some floater thing. There were a couple. He airballed a mid range. There was another like fall away jumper. We had the turnover late there where the spacing was bad and Giannis lost the ball. We had the Giannis turnaround jumper on Harden, just a real finesse type shot when he had an opportunity to at least draw a foul. We had a Chris Middleton step back baseline mid-ranger, like really early in a possession. Those are the main offensive possessions I remember from the Bucks that were like a really big deal. The main thing that happened was the Nets were switching more in the second half, and it did slow down the Bucks a bit. And on the other end, Kevin Durant and Jeff Green, crazy enough, Jeff Green like 6 for 7 from 3 or whatever it was. But Kevin Durant, wow. I mean, look, do I think LeBron is still the best player in the league and all that? I mean, yeah, if his ankle's healthy. But it's games like this that make you think, well, maybe. But of course, look, this is round 2. The Nets are up 3-2. If Kevin Durant's going to be unanimously considered the best player in the league, not that it's crazy to believe he is right now, but if he's going to unanimously be, then he's got to finish the job, you know what I mean? Or at least push the Nets to the point where it's like, all right, cool. And maybe that'll happen. But for this one game, I mean, going at Brook Lopez, I mean, he had that like 2 straight plays or at least one in transition, or it wasn't even off a transition. It was like just a made basket. He got a screen up top, went at Brook for a layup. There were like 3 jump shots in a row or whatever it was. There were the plays where he was trying to get switched onto Pat Connaughton. And there were just moments where he was like, I'm just going to shoot the damn thing. I mean, he had that one mid-range over Chris Middleton. He had that really crazy 3 where the possession just totally fell apart. The Nets waited way too long to get into the offense. There were like 5 seconds left, and KD finally got it. It seemed like he lost it in midair. He made the shot anyway. Unbelievable. Unreal. And he was making passes. I mean, I think the Nets had like 3 cuts, whether it was like late third, early fourth. One was Joe Harris, which that one was actually a Harden assist. There was one on Bruce Brown where Bruce Brown was cutting, and I think there was another one where KD was cutting. And I kind of just got derailed on the KD assist thing. But the point was the Nets, between the switching and getting a little weirder on offense, it did start to allow them to creep back into this thing before the Bucks offense falls apart. And then, of course, Kevin Durant just going to a level that, I mean, we knew he could get to, but it doesn't mean you see it every single day. And now the question is, like, how do you stop that from happening again? I don't know. I mean, you could try Giannis on him. KD has scored on Giannis, but, I mean, the Pat Connaughton, PJ Tucker, a little bit of Chris Middleton, he clearly figured all that out in that fourth quarter. This whole game, really. Played the entire game. Just an all-time game from KD. I mean, there's a lot of all-time games in NBA history. I don't know where the hell this one ranks, but it's somewhere if you really start making a list. But yeah, the only thing it's going to have to be, if not more Giannis, or if somebody else reveals themselves as the real guy to slow down KD, is just throwing extra bodies at him. And that's still tough. I mean, look, if Jeff Green's going to go crazy, then there's that. You got Bruce Brown cutting. Joe Harris, he's been up and down, but the percentages are still what they are with him. It's tough, but we saw what happened tonight when you allow Kevin Durant to just do whatever he wants to do. You know, get the mismatch he wants, just go right into the screen every time. This is what's going to happen. I mean, the other thing you could have said for the Bucks in this is they didn't go at James Harden that much. I mean, I guess they had that one post up, and Giannis chose to go with the turnaround jumper rather than being physical with Harden. Yeah, to be fair to Harden, he's a pretty all right post defender, but still, if he was not ready to play in this game, and look, he was not the most aggressive, I think all of his shots were threes, then you got to go at him. You got to see if he's got it. You got to force him to defend on the perimeter, defend one-on-one, defend in certain actions. And, again, the Nets, they switched a lot, so that's one way to sort of counter not having to have guys move a whole lot defensively. But still, it felt like they could have done more. And again, this is a collapse by the Bucks. I know KD went crazy, but I mean, this thing seemed kind of over by like halftime. I mean, sure, you were never going to count the Nets out, but with how flat they looked, and I think they were expecting more out of Harden, and when he was not being that aggressive, and the Bucks offense was looking pretty comfortable in the first half, it just seemed like it was going to be one of those nights. And to go from that to what we saw from the Bucks, where it's just letting KD do what he wants and just not being more creative on offense, well, there you go. I mean, we did see a decent chunk, I don't know exactly how many, but it felt like there was a decent chunk of Giannis at center, which has been very effective at times in this series, but not as much tonight. Clearly, Giannis got into some of those handoff actions, a lot of the time with Bryn Forbes, a couple times with Pat Connaughton when the Nets were sagging off of him. That's cool. But it is in games like this where you just realize, oh yeah, shooting really helps. Because when you can't just have your star player do that the way KD did, it does get a little tough. Now, I don't want to imply that this was Giannis's fault or anything. He wasn't perfect, but there were definitely other problems. But still, it's just like, yeah, there's clearly a difference between these two guys. And so now we go back to Milwaukee. I guess Harden's going to play. I mean, maybe he's just going to be more of a pass-first guy. If you're the Bucks, this is what you could say if you want to be a super optimist as a Bucks fan, which I would not suggest people do after this one. But if you wanted to, you could be like, well, it required an outlier game by Jeff Green for them to win this, given Harden and how he is and Kyrie being out. The KD thing, well, KD's what he is, but you would hope that he won't get 49 again. Like, if he gets 41, then the Bucks win this game most likely. So you could say that if you're a Bucks fan. I would say more on the side of like, well, Harden could just be better. Kyrie's probably not coming back. Ankle sprains are rough. But also it's like, okay, Jeff Green was the guy tonight. Could be Blake, could be Joe Harris, could be Landry Shamet. I mean, Shamet had some big plays. He had that one where he got the double team from KD one of the times where they actually forced KD to pass. Shamet made a play at the rim. He also had a big jumper in the fourth as well. I think it was like a handoff in the middle of the floor, that sort of thing. I think it was over Brook again. So it just has to be like one guy we saw with how good Kevin Durant can be on any given game. So for the Bucks' sake, the offense can't have moments of falling apart, which again, it definitely did in the fourth quarter. And it's got to be more stuff on KD. You're going to have to get a little lucky with one guy not going crazy. But yeah, the Bucks, they really should have won this.